Hi everyone. A couple weeks ago I decided I wanted to do some watercolor and ink on some tiny little patchwork squares. And I kind of had the idea of creating like fabric on paper. So this kind of reminds me of a little like cotton fabric, you know, with little patterns and little designs on it. And so after I watercolored it and put in my black ink lines, I went ahead and put some faux stitching with the pen. So it's got a little stitch around each square, and I just loved it. And right about the time I was finishing this up, Janet Nash was doing one of her Monday morning streams, and she was making a zine and doing it in a different shape. She was doing it with circles. So I thought it would be fun to make a little zine with my now patterned paper. I'm going to use it for pattern paper. And instead of doing a circle, I decided to do a different shape. So I'll show you what that is. Enter the coffee cup. So I made a little Cuppa zine. It's not really a zine, although it's in a zine style. So what I did was I used this to create the pages, and so I had, because of the way you fold a zine, I had to digitally cut and paste some of my pattern papers, and so it ends up looking, wait a minute, I've got a copy right here. It ends up looking like this. Okay, and because that's how you that's how many spaces you have when you fold a zine. So that's what I did, and I decided, gosh, you know, if I'm going to do all of this work, I'm going to make it for everybody to be able to, you know, get a digital version of this and maybe make your own little Cuppa zine if you want to. So what I did was I put the papers on. And then I also did some phrases. There's a whole set for coffee phrase, you know, a whole set of coffee phrases and a whole set of tea phrases. So I've been busy like crazy trying to get this little mini journal kit put together for you to put in my Etsy store. So here's what it looks like, so you can see the pages. So it's just the little patterned papers, which are from my watercolor, you know, image. And I made this one about tea, you can see. And so each little page ends up a different color, and I put a different little phrase on each one. And there's also a little spoon, little paper spoon. And I'm going to show you how I put this together too, because it was really fun, and it's not very difficult. Not after I got all of the logistics worked out. It's not very difficult at all. And then on the inside of the front cover is this little, what I'm calling a steam tag, because it's like a tag to fit down into your page, into your cup, but it actually has the steam attached, so that when you put it inside, let's see if I can get it in there. Here we go. So when you set it down inside, you've got the steam coming up out of your cup. And so you want to cut all of that out in one piece. Let me show you what the sheet looks like. So I did the sheet with the cups. I have two different color cups, so you can do either color or you can do both. You can do one for coffee, one for tea. Whatever you want to use it for is perfectly fine. This doesn't even have to be used to make this journal. You can use these parts and pieces to make anything you want with, you know. So there's a yellow cup and a green cup, and the front and back covers are marked. And there's a little pattern here for cutting out the zine. Once you get that folded up, that's to cut the shape of the cup out. This is the little steam tag. And here's the little spoon. And this sheet, when you print it out, if you purchase this digital, when you print out this sheet, this one needs to be on cardstock just for the, you know, stability factor. It needs to be a little bit more substantial, the cover and the tag, especially this steam part and the spoon, you want it to be, you know, a little bit more sturdy. So that's why I suggest, and I put the note on it so you won't forget which page is to be printed on cardstock. And then the other sheet is, you know, like I showed you, it's the phrases and the little zine portion. And down here, you're going to use this white space here, so make sure you cut it out. I actually left a line, a very faint line, so that it's not real obvious when you cut it out. But make sure that when you cut out this section that you include that white section, because that's part of folding up your zine. So I'm going to get mine cut apart, and then I'll come back and show you how I score it and fold it. Okay, so I've cut out the page portion, which is going to be my little zine. And I wanted to mention that rather than just folding this and trying to get it on the line, I mean, if you're real careful, you could get it on the line. But just to be on the safe side, I decided I wanted to use my scoring board and just score it just a little bit, and that way it folds exactly where it's supposed to. Generally, when you're making a zine, you're just making it with plain paper, and so you don't have all this to bother with. But I thought, you know, it will make it a lot easier to fold, and when I did my first one, that's what I did. I just thought it would be just handy to have the little score lines there. See here? So if you don't have a scoring board, you can always place your paper on just on a surface that's got a little bit of give to it, maybe some kind of a cutting mat or something, and then use something that's not sharp, but something that you can, like, use a ruler and run down the line, and just give it a good place to fold. Here we go. And don't press too hard on either your scoring board or if you're using just a different surface, because it will cut right through if you're not careful. Okay, let's get this one scored. Okay, I'm going to go all the way down this white section, even though there's nothing there, going all the way down, because it's going to be folded. Okay, I think we got it pretty decent. Did I get all the lines? Yes, I did. So you can see the full grid. I think you can see the full grid on the back there. Okay, so move this out of the way, and so we're going to fold this just like you do a regular zine. Like, you can pretend like this is your full sheet of paper, like this, and you know, you fold it over once and then you fold it. So we're going to do that same way with this one. Get my edges lined up, and that crease should fall right in place. I think it does. Yep. Okay. And you don't have to do the scoring. It just helps to make sure that all of these squares end up in the proper places where they belong, you know. Okay, so there's one fold. And then we fold it in the middle. I think that one's actually not quite right. Let's see if we can make it work over here better by doing the edges. Edge to edge. Yeah, that's the better fold. Okay. Yeah, okay. We got it. All right, and then we're going to fold these the same. I'm just going to fold one back on itself. Okay, like that. And then we'll fold this one back on itself. It doesn't really matter about these folds at this point. It's just getting it folded. So it doesn't matter in which way you do it. Okay, because we're going to open it up and change the whole thing around here pretty shortly. Okay, so we've got our little zine folded. Okay, so now what you want to do is make sure that the folds are at the top. Where we folded this paper over in half, you want the folds at the top. And then you end up with folds on the side too. Not all of them are folded, but there is a fold here. And there's 2 folds here, so make sure that the folds are on the sides and the top. This is all completely open, no folds on the bottom. All right, now I've already cut out my other pieces over here. Well, I'm almost done. The other pieces from the cardstock sheet. And the reason I need that is because I need this pattern. So what you're going to do is put it on your zine. Now, I didn't make my pattern go all the way out to the edge, but you don't want to cut wherever there's a red line on your pattern. You're not going to cut there. So the idea was to just place it at the top where your fold line is at the top. There's a red line there, and there will be red lines on either side. So what we're going to do is cut where the dotted lines are. Okay. So I'm just holding it in place. You can also put clips on it if you want. Everywhere there's a red line, you can put a clip on it. That will help you to remember not to cut there. I think that'll be a great way to do that. And it will hold it in place and not let it move around. There we go. So everywhere there's a red line, just put a clip in place. And then we're going to cut the zine, not the pattern, but cut right along where that line is. And you can see I'm starting out here on the edge, even though my pattern doesn't go out to the edge. Just go ahead and cut on the dotted line right out from the edge right up to that red line, and just cut it off. And then do the same thing on this side and cut it all the way off. Okay, so that's what it's looking like so far. Now we're not going to cut here where the red lines are, so I'm going to start cutting right in here. And what I need to do is just kind of start cutting in line with where that dotted line is. Do you see what I mean? It's going to kind of go up here where the red is a little bit, but you can't cut in from the side and go over there because it'll look wonky. So I'm just going to kind of go right just above where the dotted line starts, and I'm going to start cutting that curve. And just cut all the way around where the dotted line is. Okay, and then when you get up here to the top, we want to just keep going at an angle, you know, just a little bit past the red line. Okay, like that. Okay, then you can take off your clips. Move your pattern. And you can see that your little cups are formed. Okay, now we've got the zine cut. So now what we have to do is get it folded in the proper way. Before I do that though, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to cut these apart in the center only. Don't cut these apart. Okay, not the outer ones, just the inner ones. Just cut there and cut here. I'm just trimming off a little tiny bit where there was some other color there. Okay, all right. So just kind of lay it out flat, and then you want this center area, when you fold it in half again, you want this center area to fold outward. Both sides are going to fold outward. Okay, so it looks like a little plus. Right? So I'm going to press that fold in because it had been folded in the opposite direction earlier. So that way it works better. And then you just kind of pinch it together. Now this is its permanent fold. So the white areas are going to be where we attach the front cover and the back cover. And then you have all of your little colored pages on the inside. Now this does leave a little bit of a point here. If you want to cut that, you know, trim it to make it more rounded, you can. I mean, by rounded, you know what I mean, more of the shape of the cup. Just don't cut too far. You don't want to cut off that fold, okay? So I'm just giving it just the slightest little trim there. Okay. So when you end up adding your cover, let me finish cutting this one out. I'm almost done with that. Okay, here we go. Oh, and when you cut the covers, don't cut on the illustration line on the inside. I did a little doodled line on the inside of the cup here. Don't cut on the hard dark line. Cut on the very outside edge. So you want to cut it apart here. Here, not on the inside line. And I say that because if you cut it on that inside line, it's not going to fit your little zine. So this would be the front cover. So when we get it glued on, I've even got these marked already. So when we glue our little cup on, see, we want it to fit inside that cover. Pretty much like that. I still feel like it's kind of sticking out just a little bit more than I wanted. I'm going to just trim that one more time. And you can just adjust it as you go. The only thing you don't want to do is you don't want to cut these folds completely off. You don't want to do that. And up here too. You might want to round it just a tiny bit more, but don't cut the whole fold off. That's what's holding your little book together. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So when it's glued inside there now, it looks like it will fit a little bit better. There are two pages that have an opening. The front, the second one has a fold. The third one also has an opening. And this is where we're going to place our little fun inserts. So what I did on my other one is I placed the steam tag in the front and the spoon in the third page back there. So because we've got something going inside, we need to close this up a little bit down here. It doesn't take a whole lot to close it up and keep the tag from falling out, but just a little bit of glue. Just a few dots here and there to just kind of close it off. All right. So that one's closed, and now we want to go over to the third page, this one, and do the same thing, just little tiny dots going around. Okay. Right, so that's all done. Now, if you want to, you can put a dab of glue in these other pages, the ones that have the fold on top. You don't have to, but just to keep it all together, I think I'm going to just put like one, just to kind of keep that stuck together so it's not pulling open. You know, like that. It's not going to pull open like that. So I'm going to just put a dot there. Okay, like I did the other one. And you know, these are not perfect little books. They're going to be a little bit wonky because they're handmade. You know, they're not factory produced. But it sure is fun. It's so fun to make them. Okay, so now the steam can go into the little section at the top of the first page, just like that. And I wanted to mention about cutting this steam out. It will be a lot easier, and I found this out the hard way. It will be a lot easier to, when you get ready to cut that, you could use an X-Acto knife. I did use scissors, but I found out that it's much easier to use scissors with a tiny point, and also to like start cutting from the top. Like, you know, this is going to be cut, like you'll probably cut this off if you're anything like me. Let me show you here. Okay, so let's say this is cut off from that sheet. So rather than starting here and cutting around the cup and then cutting this, it's more stable if you just start cutting the steam and get the steam trimmed out first and then finish out cutting that little cup shape. It just gives it more stability somehow. It felt like I did the second one I did that way, and I felt like it was just a lot easier. So that's just a little tip. You can do it that way if you want, or you can do it whichever way you want. But an X-Acto knife, if you're really handy with those and you can cut around the curves and things with that, then you know you can do that for sure too. But you do want to just cut all of that out in one piece, just like this. So that's going to fit in the front, and then your little spoon, after you cut that out, will fit down inside the little open pocket on the third page. Here we go. So cute. Okay, I'm going to move them for now just so that I can put my covers on. Okay. I think I'm just going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put a little bit of glue all the way around the zine itself on the front and the back. And you can put some in the middle. It's probably not necessary, but you can if you want. I'm going to turn this, I'm going to turn it over so I can see exactly where it's going to lay in here. And this will be handy and helpful for you too. When you cut it out, go ahead and mark which one was the front and which one was the back. The little handle is coming out to the right hand side. All right, so that's going to sit there. Pick it up now. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the back. And then when I did this part, I picked it up so that I could, maybe I did it this way. I remember picking it up so that I could make sure I lined up the front and back so that the cups match, because they are identical. So, and you want to put your glue on the zine itself, not on the cover, because you might get carried away and forget and put glue on the handles and glue those together, and you don't want that. You want to be able to open it. So these are fitting together just right, and the zine is fitting right inside. That's so cute. I just love it. Now you can see that because this is not a perfect, you know, scenario, this is just a homemade book, it doesn't really lay completely flat like you would expect it to. But for what it is, I think it's perfect. I just think it's great just the way it is. And a zine is one of those things that it's not going to fold and move as easily because it's been glued. That's the reason why it does this. So so yeah, just be expecting that to happen. That's perfectly normal. I think I'll put one here too. Okay. It's so cute, so much fun. So then all that's left is, you know, to take your little sheet and pick whichever ones you want to use, if you want to use them at all. You may choose to do something, you know, completely different on the zine. You know, put stickers on, put whatever you want on. You can put the words and stickers or little images. It's entirely up to you. I just wanted to give you the kind of base for putting it together, you know. So the words are all that's left, and then tucking in the little insert pieces, and you end up with the cute little tiny mini journal. And I just love it. I'll have this little digital in my Etsy store, and there are 2 pages to it, of course, like you saw. And you can use the sheet with the color. Also, you can print this out, you know, and use this for little clusters or little journal pages, whatever you want to use it for. I just thought it would be something fun, which is why I painted it in the first place. I thought it would be fun to have little background type pages, and that's exactly how this ended up being. Was a perfect little background, inspired by Janet and her round zines. I thought that was so funny. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just made something like this that would fit a zine. And I mean, I literally had just finished making that when I saw her video, so I was very, very excited. Okay, for those of you who don't have printing capabilities, I will have a printed version also. The cups are cut apart, and the little extra bits there are cut apart. And your zine will be folded in the center on that fold there. And it separates your words. Nothing is involved in the fold. This will be folded anyway, so that's fine. So when you receive the printed version, it will look like that. And I made this up thinking this would be very cute to cut apart, and, you know, put like a I love tea or I love coffee on the cover, you know, or you can put it on the back cover. I mean, you can put it inside, you can put it wherever you want, but I just thought it would be a fun little addition for the printed version that will be included there. So those are going to be available in my Etsy store. And I also have a couple of more new Etsy listings for some napkin packs. I only have a few. There's 2 different ones, and I only have a few of each one. But I wanted to go ahead and get them out there so that you guys could be getting those if you need them and enjoying them. So I hope you guys enjoy creating this little mini Cuppa journal, and we will see you again soon in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.